Today on the 26-minute Dakar, we try a new taste as the Dakar debuts in Bolivia. In the bikes, cloud cover and rain play havoc with the riders' minds before the start. In the car, Sainz is driving like a man half his age as the cars take a last dash through Argentina. In today's story, it's tough times as a quad rider battles the trails. And in Dakar Passion, the legends talk about their darkest moments of the Dakar. All this and more on today's 26-minute Dakar in Argentina and Bolivia. Today is a special day as the Dakar reaches out to its 28th country in 35 editions, to the marvel that is Bolivia. Last September, the reconnaissance team took to the trails to map the route for 2014.
It's going to be a beautiful special because it's a marathon stage, it's a new country and a new backdrop. The rally is really entering some serious business now. Well, Bolivia, a new part of the Dakar, and the important thing is the altitude. We will be between 3,300 and 3,400 meters, and that will change things a bit. But it's a very beautiful special, very technical, lots of crossroads, and lots of navigation too.
The goal for day one will be to reach the small city of Uyuni, a hive of life in a rugged wilderness.
Bienvenidos al Dakar Uyuni Potosí.
Uyuni is a melting pot for Bolivian culture, vibrant and colourful, where the people are opening their arms to embrace the Dakar. More than a city, it's the gateway to the largest salt flats on the planet.
The impressive thing here is the size. I've never seen a salt flat of this size. In fact, there's no sensation of speed. You go at 150 or 160 and you don't know how fast you're going. The bikes in the quads are doing what we call a marathon stage with no assistance. It changes the difficulty of the course as it's 2 days between Salta and Uyuni and Calama, more than 1,200 kilometers.
In Uyuni itself, the bivouac has taken shape for the riders to spend their night in the marathon stage. There's a huge interest in the Dakar as it comes to Bolivia, and everything is coming together to make it a great first experience. Gregory Murak, the head of external relations for the Dakar, arrived in the bivouac a day early to check that all the hospitality facilities were ready for the riders' arrival, though there is a tense race to be run before they reach the home comforts. Previously in the bikes, Coma has the lead, but he knows that anything can happen, and it probably will. To make strategies and tactics, it's very early, step by step, as it's too early. Dupre isn't ready to throw in the towel, but he's over 2 hours behind Coma. In 2007 at the rest day I was 17th, but it was me that took home the Dakar in 2007. Duclos leads the race into Bolivia and he knows he can take control if others fail. There are 4,000 kilometers more and they will make mistakes, and I won't be far behind them if they do. All sorts of changes awaited the riders as the race route was altered from the word go in stage 7. Rain and low cloud that grounded the medical helicopters in the early morning. And then the choppers eventually took off. They had to stay low on the way up to the stage start, all the while hoping for the cloud layer to lift. With time ticking away, plans were put forward to alter the stage or change the start point to make the best of the conditions. Until finally, there was some good news.
Okay. Go. Okay.
Right, let's go. And with that, the race could begin at checkpoint 3. So it all got going at kilometer 104, just south of the border into Bolivia. There were big crowds out cheering on Bolivian rider Juan Carlos Salvatierra, who's 16th overall. It's an incredible sensation. No one thought we'd be here. It's just one of the most emotional moments of my life. For everybody, Bolivia was a new challenge, all done at altitude. Barreda led the first part of the special. Starting 4th, he was able to follow the trail of the riders ahead and limit his mistakes. But still, a gap of 4 minutes 30 to second was very healthy lead come waypoint 8. Duclos, the man that started first, had to lead the navigation, and he was caught out just after a checkpoint, taking the wrong path and losing a costly 8 minutes 30 in that moment alone. On a close stage, it was the end of his challenge at the top for today. It was the best day for Kuba Shigonski, the KTM rider who pits out of the factory tent, was in the top 5 from checkpoint 5 and closing on 4th all the time. In the end, it wasn't enough, but it ended the day 5th, 8:56 from the leader. Race leader Coma started slowly, but by kilometer 140, he was up into second place and closing on Barreda. He knows he has to mark the Honda rider stage by stage and was running strongly all day. Jeremias Israel has a big Dakar following in his native Chile, and he started brilliantly. Heading towards the Bolivian border, running 4th early on and racing hard, he'd bring the speed brain home in 6th position. In front of the Bolivian crowd, Salvatierra had his best day of the rally, finishing 14:40 off the best time, but surely loving every minute of racing at home on the second of the speed brain machines. The second half of the day's racing began with the main climb of the day, 600 metres to the high point, just shy of 4,000. From there, the race appeared to settle towards the finish. Gaps were maintained and the established order stood firm. The top of that order was Juan Barreda, just off the timing charts for most of the day, but he excelled on the fast tracks as he did in day 1, taking the tape 4:03 ahead of his closest challenger. By the end, that was still Mark Coma, defending his lead in the standings all day long. The Red Bull KTM rider was happy to get to the finish of the marathon without any major problems in the day. Dupre too was a man who played the opener at the marathon stage safe. In fact, team orders came into play. His backup rider Mecha, who had started ahead on the day, waited shortly after the start to ride as backup for his team leader for the rest of the stage. Dupre came home 3rd, 1:32 behind Roma. Juan Pedrero rounded out the top 4. The two Sherco riders seemed to swap good and bad days with each other. This time it was the turn of the Spaniards to have a good day. His 4th place a just reward after losing 4 hours and 30 on stage 6, but now he's no threat to the overall leaders. So on a fast stage, it was a healthy gap for Barreda, 4:03 to Coma, Dupre at 5:35, Pedrero 6:57 and Shigonski 8:56 back on the day. In the overall, Barreda's closed the gap slightly. It's down to 38:14. Villadoms is up into 3rd, 1 hour 16 behind, just 32 seconds over Duclos. There were 17 quads that left Salta this morning and headed for Uyuni in Bolivia. As with the bikes, the stage was reduced from nearly 400 Ks to 300, because of the weather conditions. Third overall this morning, Ignacio Casale still believes he can win the Dakar despite his hour deficit overall. The Chilean was at full throttle today and scored his second stage win this year. Today the quad race looks like a wild cavalcade on the Bolivian plateau, 3,000 meters of altitude. The overall leader at the beginning of the day was Sergio Lafuente. He traced his rhythm on Rafael Sonic, his closest rival overall. The Uruguayan was third on the day and increased his lead over Sonic in the standings. Thousands of Bolivian riders welcomed the youngest of them, Jeremias Gonzalez, 9th in the stage as he came past waypoint 10. The winner of stage 6 before the rest day, Rafael Sonic, had to open the road today. The Polish rider was second overall, 22 minutes from Lafuente, and he pushed all day long to reduce the gap from the leader. Coming next in the cars, Sainz scorches the ground in the car's last run around the trails of Argentina. Friday the 10th of January, the 6th stage of the Dakar between Tucumán and Salta, with 2 specials set to go for the bikes and quads. The day started with a puncture for Jean-Christophe Tamas. Problems keep happening. I only have problems. I finished the previous stage at 5 this morning, and yesterday at 1 or 1:30 in the night. I've always heard that the Dakar was hard, but I really feel this year they've spoiled us. The level is very high. It's hard. I think we have to turn here because we had to go straight at kilometer 129.2, and I didn't see anything at this point. Jean-Christophe patiently made it to kilometer 234 on the first special of the day, but a worrying noise has started coming from his quad.
Le même bruit que ce matin, mais vraiment beaucoup plus fort.
I talked to my mechanic, he told me how to fix a problem, but he's not convinced. With the help of the refueling crew, Jean-Christophe Tamas tried to fix his quad to reach the second special stage starting zone, 104 kilometers away. But it's too far for his machine. If it breaks, it's finished. Is that what you mean? Despite Jean-Christophe's efforts, the engine doesn't want to restart. Time is running out to reach the starting zone. It's no use trying, it just doesn't start. The same organisation members offered to tow the quad until the start of the second stage, but the Frenchman is not allowed to enter the stage with a broken machine. And that means that it may be the end of his story. But with no way to fix the machine once he gets to the start, he has no choice but to retire. And now find a new way of getting to Salta, and it seems the best way is to hitchhike. Where are you going? The fare's price is fixed, just in exchange of a hat for a helmet, and the Dakar has a new convert. Dakar!